भजहुरेम श्रीनन्दनन्दन अभयचरणरविन्दरे भजहुरे मन श्रीनन्दनन्दन अभयचरणरविन्दरे दुर्लभमानव जन्म सत्संगे कर हरे भव सिन्धुरे दुर्लभ मानव जन्म सत्संगे कर हरे भव सिन्धुरे भजहुरे मन श्रीनन्दनन्दन अभयचरणरविन्दरे शीत आतप वातवरीशन हे दीनयामिनी जागिरे शीत आतप वातवरीशन हे दीनयामिनी जागिरे विफले से विलु कृपण दुर्जन चपल सुख लव लागिरे विफले से विलु कृपण दुर्जन चपल सुख लव लागिरे भजहुरे मन श्रीनन्दनन्दन अभयचरणरविन्दरे हे धन यौवन पुत्र परिजन इथे कियाचे पर रे हे धन यौवन पुत्र परिजन इथे कियाचे पर रे कमल दल जल जीवन तलमल भजहु हरिपद नीतिरे कमल दल जल जीवन जलमल भजहु हरिपद नीतिरे श्रवण कीर्तन स्मरण बंधन पाद सेवन दास्य रे श्रवण कीर्तन स्मरण बंधन पाद सेवन दास्य रे पूजन सखी जन आत्मनिवेदन गोविंद दास अभिलाष रे पूजन सखी जन आत्मनिवेदन गोविंद दास अभिलाष रे भजहुरे मन श्रीनन्दनन्दन अभयचरणरविन्दरे भजहुरे मन श्रीनन्दनन्दन अभयचरणरविन्दरे हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Shyam Sundar Radha Shyam Sundar Radha. Jaya Gauranitai 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 Jai Gauranitai Jai Jai Prabhupada 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 Jai Jai Prabhupada Jai Jai Gurudev 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 Jai Jai Gurudev. Harinam Sankirtan Yogi ki Jai, Shri Prabhupada ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vranda ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Chakshurumritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahim Dadati Swapanamika. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavansya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagara Raghunathamritam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijan Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Deva Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagara Lalita Shri Vishakhanivitansya. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenbandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopiga Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kanchan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriya Vanchakalpatrubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyaiva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prachayani Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Devesha. Hare Krishna. So this beautiful bhajan, the translation. O my mind, just worship the lotus feet of the son of Nanda, which make one fearless. Having obtained this rare human birth, cross over this ocean of worldly existence through the association of saintly persons. Both in the day and night, I remain sleepless, suffering the pains of the heat and cold, the wind and the rain. For a fraction of flickering happiness, I have uselessly served wicked and miserly men. What assurance of real happiness is there in all of one's wealth, youthfulness, sons and family members? So this life is tottering like a drop of water on a lotus petal. Therefore, you should always serve and worship the divine feet of Lord Hari. It is the desire and great longing of Govinda Das to engage himself in the 9 processes of bhakti, namely, hearing the glories of Lord Hari and chanting those glories, constantly remembering him and offering prayers to him, serving the Lord's lotus feet, serving the Supreme Lord as servant, worshipping him with flowers and incense and so forth, serving him as a friend and completely offering the Lord one's very self. Hare Krishna. So Bhagavad Gita, chapter 8, we are going to start. So this section of Bhagavad Gita we know as Bhakti Yoga. So chapter 7, chapter 8, chapter 9 and 12, 11 and 12. This is Bhakti Yoga section. Chapter 7 we have already completed. That is knowledge of the absolute. Absolute. Param Satya. So in this chapter, we got to know about Krishna and his different energies. How Krishna is all pervasive. And also about different kinds of people who take shelter of Krishna, who approach Krishna, and different kinds of people who do not come to Krishna. And also different kinds of worshippers, like demigod worshippers, impersonalists. So Krishna is speaking about all these different kinds of people, why they worship, what is the process they follow, and what is the result they get through these worship. And at the end of the 7th chapter, he is, verse number 28, he is saying, persons who have acted piously in previous lives and in this life, and whose sinful actions are completely eradicated, are freed from the dualities of delusion, and they engage themselves in my service with determination. So who can render devotional service to Krishna with full determination? To antagatam papam. So who is pure, whose sinful actions are completely eradicated, no more sins, all sinful reactions eradicated. So pure-hearted people, they will worship Krishna with full determination. Then Krishna, verse number 29, he is speaking about intelligent persons who are endeavoring for liberation from old age and death, take refuge in me in devotional service. So he's saying, whoever is willing for freedom from birth and death, old age, disease. So what they do, they take refuge in me. Means they take shelter of Krishna. They do devotional service. So they are actually Brahman, because they entirely know everything about transcendental activities. So Brahman means here talking about soul. Anybody who has realized that I am not this body, I am soul, and one who knows about his relationship with Krishna, so he is totally devoted, dedicated to Krishna. Otherwise, simply knowing that I am soul is not the complete understanding, theoretical understanding, that is right. If we know in reality that I am soul and part and parcel of Krishna, then very naturally we will be devoted to Krishna, we will serve Krishna. So then Krishna used this word Brahma. And also in next verse, he is speaking, he is saying, Sadi Bhutam Adi Daivam Mam Sadi Yagyam Cha Ye Vidu Prayana Kale Icha Mam Te Vidur Yukta Chetasa. Those in full consciousness of me, who know me, the Supreme Lord, to be the governing principle of material manifestation, of the demigods and of all methods of sacrifice, can understand and know me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even at the time of death. So the most important word in this verse is Prayana Kalepi. All these different terms, Sadi Bhuta, Adi Devam, Sadi Yagyam, Prayana Kale, all these are different words Krishna used in this verse, last verse. And the same, Arjuna, the next chapter, which is starting chapter 8, he is asking about all these different terms Krishna used in the last verse, last two verses. Brahma, Adi Bhuta, Adi Deva, Adi Yagya. He is asking this question. So you see Bhagavad Gita, every chapter, Krishna, he is giving some input to Arjuna. So the next chapter is starting with some question. And question is a sign of intelligence, right? So one should ask question. But what kind of question we are going to learn today? What kind of question Arjuna is asking, right? Now see the question. Chapter number 8. Arjuna Vacha. You can recite. Arjuna Vacha. किम तद ब्रह्म किम आध्यात्मम किम कर्म पुरुषोत्तम अधिभूतं च किम प्रोक्तम अधिदैवम किम उच्यते. So Arjuna inquired, O my Lord, O Supreme Person, what is Brahman? What is the Self? What are fruitive activities? What is this material manifestation? And what are the demigods? Please explain this to me.
So next verse he is asking. Adiyagya katham kotra dehesmin madhusudana prayana kale cha katham yagyeyo asi niyatatmabhi. Here the next question. Who is the Lord of sacrifice? And how does he live in the body? O Madhusudana, and how can those engaged in devotional service know you at the time of death? So let's discuss these 8 questions.
So what is the first question? What is the first question? What is Brahman? So now you need to answer. You all have heard about it, right? What is Brahman? Huh? Living entity. Brahman. This word is used for the Lord and for the living entity both. So Brahman means living entity, and Param Brahma, Para Brahman, that is super soul, supreme personality of Godhead, right? So Brahma means living entity. Next question, what is self? Self means Adhyatma. Kim Adhyatma. What is Adhyatma? Adhyatma means what? Brahma. Adhyatma. Adhyatma means here the nature of the soul. What is the nature of the soul? The eternal nature of the soul. Adhyatma. Eternal nature of the living entity. To serve. This is our natural constitutional position, to serve. To whom? Krishna. Because we are part and parcel of Krishna. So that is our natural constitutional position, to serve. But due to our material conditioning, being in this material world, we have forgotten that relationship. That's why this is called conditioning, or we are under the influence of material nature. But our natural position is serving Krishna. This is natural for soul. So Adhyatma means our natural, our eternal nature. What are fruitive activities? What are fruitive activities?
Enjoyment.
Kim karma, yes.
You basically enjoy.
Enjoying, yes. I mean, whatever related to the body, very nice. So any activity related to this body, maintaining this body, that is called karma. And sakam karma, of course, like enjoying mentality, away from Krishna, sense gratification, that is called sakam karma. Means doing activity for the sense gratification, for personal enjoyment, not for Krishna. That is called sakam karma. Nishkam karma, we know, when we are not, we offer the result to Krishna, that becomes Nishkam karma yoga. So kim karma, karma means the sakam karma, to the activity to maintain the body. What is this material manifestation? Adibhutam. What is Adibhutam means? About material world. So what is this material manifestation? In 7th chapter we heard about it. What is material nature?
External potency of Krishna.
External energy of the Lord, external potency of the Lord, made up of how many elements? 8 elements. Bhumi, Jal, Agni, Vayu, Akash, Man, Buddhi, Mithya, Ahankar. So these are the elements. And we will understand the nature. In this chapter only Krishna will speak about material world, a spiritual world. What is the nature of a spiritual world, material world? He will speak in the last section of this chapter. What are And what are the demigods? We know about it. Demigods. Means here the word which is being used, Adideva. Adideva means demigods. And especially even about one specific form of Lord Krishna, that is Vishwarupa. Because Vishwarupa, all the demigods resides in that Vishwarupa. So basically we know demigods, they are servants of Krishna. They are responsible for a specific duty. For the pleasure of Krishna, they have their different responsibilities they are doing. So please explain this. So Arjuna is asking this question about self, about this material nature, about the nature of the living entity, about the demigods. These are the perfect questions we should know. This is what the question for self-realization, we should know about it. So who is the Lord of sacrifice, Krishna? Who is the Lord of sacrifice? Adi Yagya. Who is?
Vishnu, Krishna.
Yes, Adi Yagya. The Yagya, we know, that is sacrifice. And Krishna said in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 5, Bhoktaram Yagitapasam Sarvalok Maheshwaram. So Krishna is the enjoyer of all kinds of sacrifices. So Adi Yagya, Yagyapati is. And how does he live in the body? So next question is this. How does Krishna is there within us, within our body as super soul? And where he resides? Within our heart. Super soul resides within our heart. So these are the 7 questions Arjuna asked about. And Krishna is going to answer these in 3rd and 4th shloka. And the last question, which is very, very important question we should ask to ourselves. And how can those engaged in devotional service know you at the time of death? This is very, very important question. So for the next 2 verses, Krishna will answer 7 questions in 2 verses. And this last question is going to be explained in throughout the chapter. So this chapter, especially as we are going to learn in this chapter, how we can remember Krishna at the time of death. And why to remember? Krishna will speak about it. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Aksharam Brahma Paramam Swabhavo Adhyatmam Uchyate Bhuta Bhavodbhava Karo Visarga Karma Samgita. So now Krishna is answering. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, the indestructible, transcendental living entity is called Brahman. So the living entity, and we know it is indestructible. Soul is indestructible. Soul never dies. And his eternal nature is called Adhyatma. The eternal nature of the soul is called Adhyatma, serving Krishna. Right? So eternal nature of the living entity is serving. To serve anybody and everybody in this world, you will see. Whatever process he is following, whatever religion he is following. But this is very natural. Somehow or other, everybody is serving. Either to the self, or to the family, or to the society, or nation. Everybody is serving. Because that is our natural constitutional position. But that service is misdirected. Right direction, or the directed means the real service is service to God. When we serve God, then automatically our service to others becomes natural, right? And that is true service. So Adhyatma means our natural service propensity to God, the self. Action pertaining to the development of material bodies of the living entities is called karma, or fruitive activities. So whatever activity we do to maintain this body, Krishna is saying that is called karma, sakam karma. Adibhutam ksharo bhava purushascha adidaivatam adiyagyo aham eva atra dehe dehvritambara. O best of the embodied beings, the physical nature which is constantly changing is called Adibhuta. So Krishna is speaking about material world. So material world, this is Adibhuta, and this is constantly changing. So this is the difference between matter and spirit. When he is speaking about Brahma, he said Aksharam. Aksharam means indestructible. But when he is speaking about this material world, Adhibhutam, what is saying? Constantly changing. This material world, sometimes manifest, sometimes unmanifest. So this is constantly changing. And the body is not permanent. Jatasya dhruvam dhruvam janma mritusya. We have taken birth. This body has taken birth and it is sure to die. It is true. So this is the nature of material manifestation. The universal form of the Lord, which includes all the demigods, like those of the sun and moon, is called Adideva. Adideva means Vishwarup, Krishna's universal form. All the demigods is there in this form. And I, the Supreme Lord, represented as the super soul in the heart of every embodied being, am called Adhiyagya, the Lord of sacrifice. So Krishna, as super soul, he is residing within everyone's heart, and he is the Yagyapati. All the sacrifices is done for the pleasure of Krishna himself, and that we studied in chapter 3, different kinds of yagya, and ultimate purpose of doing all these different kinds of sacrifice, all these different kinds of activities is to please Krishna. If it is not pleasing to Krishna, so that action, Krishna said, it becomes a cause of binding in this material world. So if we are not pleasing Krishna by our action, that action will bound us in this material world through the cycle of birth and death again and again. So now, in 5th shloka, Krishna is speaking about how this is the law of transmigration. Law of transmigration. Different rules are there in this material world, right? Law of gravity. So now he is going to speak about law of transmigration. How we transmigrate from one body to another body, from one planet to another planet. Would you like to know about it? It's a very famous shloka we have been quoting again and again. And this is the basis of this chapter 8 of Bhagavad Gita. So after giving answer to all these 7 questions, he is saying, you can recite after me because this is very famous shloka. Antakale cha mameva Smarana Muktva Kalevaram Ya Prayati Samadbhavam Yati Nastatra Samshaya. And whoever at the end of his life quits his body, remembering me alone, at once attains my nature. Of this there is no doubt. Very clearly Krishna is saying, one who remembers me at the time of death attains my nature. Krishna's nature is spiritual. Means we receive a spiritual body, we receive a spiritual kingdom. And the process is very, very simple. What is the criteria to go home, back to Godhead? Simply remembering Krishna. This is the criteria. Whatever activity we do, right? We develop some kind of consciousness, some kind of whatever we see, whatever we do. So because of the kind of association we are in, that develops a kind of consciousness or kind of remembrance, right? So if we are not engaged in Krishna consciousness, then at the time of death we won't be able to remember Krishna. And whatever we remember, Krishna is saying that we will achieve that. And next shloka he is saying, Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajatyante kalevaram tam tam evaiti kaunteya sada tad bhava bhavita. What is saying? Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, O son of Kunti, that state he will attain without fail. Very, very important shloka. These 2 shlokas are very, very important. Understand? Life is preparation and death is examination. Whatever we are doing, that will be examined at the time of death. So we have to clear the exam. And exam, the preparation of exam is not on the day of exam. Right? So this very important question, especially at the time, what is the duty of a person at the time of death? This question was being asked by whom in Srimad Bhagavatam? Parikshit Maharaj. He is asking this question. That what is the duty of a person who is on the verge of death? Sometimes people say that Why to read Bhagavad Gita? Why to practice spirituality right now? When you are old enough, when you have done your all responsibilities, then you can practice all these things. Somebody asked, one reporter even asked Srila Prabhupada, that why you are engaging such young people? They are so responsible people. They can do so much to the country, and you're engaging them in spiritual practices. They are not doing anything, not contributing anything to the country, because for them, materialistic people, contribution is until you do something similar. This is not contribution. So Prabhupada asked one question: who should read Bhagavad Gita? Who should practice spirituality? He said, old people. Old people should do that. Prabhupada then he asked the next question: who is old? What is the definition of being old? Tell me, what is the definition of being old? What is your answer? Who is old?
Age is the answer.
If age is the answer, we don't know when we are going. I mean,
When you have to die,
we know our birth date, but we don't know our death date. So that criteria is, I mean, we never know when we are going to die. So the reporter, he said, when the person is about to die, that is old age. When the person is about to die. Old age means now it is understood that the person may die any moment. The professor said, who knows at what time he is going to die? So from this point of view, everyone is old. Because any moment we can die. And that's why we should read this Bhagavad Gita. Or then when Parikshit Maharaj asked this question to Sukadeva Goswami, what is the duty of a person at the time of death? Parikshit Maharaj, he appreciated it that this is the question, this is a very nice question. And he said, O king, actually everybody is on the verge of death. Nobody knows about death. And that's why Prahlad Maharaj is recommending that, from the very birth, the person should practice spirituality. At the age of 5, he's saying at the age of 5 means it's not at the age of 5. Means from the very beginning, one should practice spirituality because we don't know when we are going to die. And whatever we remember at the time of death, whatever is our consciousness, that is the factor which is going to decide our next life. Either we're going to get a new human form of life, or going to some heavenly planets, or going to some hellish planet. Everything is decided based on this one criteria. Yam yam vavi smaran bhava. So whatever state of being one remembers, when he quits his body, O son of Kunti, that state he will attain without fail. And that's why we see even one beautiful example in Srimad Bhagavatam, King Bharat. We heard this story many times. It's not that even if somebody practicing spirituality, how long to practice, how long to be in association of devotees? Every moment, every time. It's not that for some time we practice and then sometimes we can give it up or we cannot. Not like that. Bharat Maharaj, if you see the devotional stages or the different stages of devotional service, or starting from Shraddha, then Sadhu Sang, Bhajan Kriya, Anartha Nivritti, Nishtha, Ruchi, Asakti, Bhava and Prema. These are the different stages of loving devotional service. And King Bharat, he was on the stage of Bhava, which is just one stage before Prema. This is the topmost stage. Very exalted personality, always absorbed in Krishna consciousness. And at the end of his life, he decided to just give up his kingdom and go to a secluded place and practice Krishna consciousness. But there, just we know the incident how he saved one deer, and the child deer, baby deer, and he became so much attached with that baby deer. He started taking care of that baby deer through the whole day. He forgot about Krishna consciousness. The whole day he was absorbed in taking care of that baby. Became so much attached with that. Every time he is thinking about the baby deer. And at the time of death also he was remembering that deer. And next life he became a deer. So this is the science. Though he was very exalted, as we know that bhakti, whatever we are doing is never, there's no loss ever. Neha vikramana swasti prathivayo. And that's why even in that life, in that dear life, he always remembered Krishna. He was, no, so he heard about Krishna, he got into the association of devotees, hearing about Krishna. So again he got a chance to get birth into a Brahminical family, a human body, and in that life, as Jad Bharat, he never took a chance to miss this opportunity again, and that's why he was totally absorbed in Krishna, and finally he perfected his life. So now we have to understand, now we also, after many lifetimes, we have been into this material world, going through different bodies, different kinds of bodies. So now we have got this opportunity, we are getting this knowledge, and the purpose is to make our life perfect. And how we can make it perfect, Krishna is teaching us. So now we have to understand how we can make it perfect. So like remembrance of Krishna will not happen overnight. Throughout the life we have to practice it. And that's why in Krishna consciousness, what we are doing, we are just dovetailing our desire to the desire of Krishna. We are not doing anything additional. Whatever activities we are doing, simply we are spiritualizing it, simply we are dedicating it to Krishna. Our eating process, dedicated to Krishna. Our work, our profession, our business, dedicated to Krishna. Our property, our wealth, whatever intelligence, mind, everything, we are just dedicating to Krishna. Because when Krishna spoke about it, that you should remember me always, then there might be a question, okay, then give up everything. Arjuna thought, that's why I'm giving up, I don't want to fight. Again coming to the same point. That's why I don't want to fight, because if I associate these kind of people, if I, maybe at the end of the time, if I remember Duryodhana, what will happen? Or I may remember Shakuni, what will happen? So let me go back. Let me go to the secluded place, jungle, and I'll just remember you. I'll keep on chanting your name and remember you. Is it fine? What is your opinion? So now Krishna, understanding his mood, what is saying? Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu vamanusmara yuddhacha mayyarpet mano buddhir mame veshyasi samsaya. Therefore, Arjuna, you should always think of me in the form of Krishna. This is also very important. Krishna has different forms. Krishna has many incarnations. We know all these different incarnations we can categorize into 6. Purushavatar, Gunavatar, Shakti-Avesh Avatar, Manvantar Avatar, and Leela Avatar. These are different categories. Ultimately, Krishna is God, and different. We see different manifestations of Krishna. So Krishna is especially here recommending that which form you should remember. Like different forms are there, but Krishna is his original form. In his original form, Krishna is Shyam Sundar. The beautiful form of Krishna we see, that is his original form. In Bhagavad Gita he speaks about it. So he said, and at the same time carry out your prescribed duty of fighting. So he didn't say, Arjuna, that no, you should give up your job, your duty. How you have to do your duty? Mahamanusmara yuddhacha. You do your duty, you fight, and remember me. So do your duty and fight. So with your activities dedicated to me and your mind and intelligence fixed on me, you will attain me without doubt. Yes? So with activities dedicated to me and your mind and intelligence fixed on me. So we have to engage our mind and our intelligence and do our duty. That way, we will attain Krishna without doubt. So whatever, like we discussed, whatever activities we are doing, simply we have to dedicate it to Krishna. How we can engage our mind, our intelligence in Krishna's service? How we can engage?
How we can engage?
This instruction to Arjuna is very important to all men engaged in material activities. The Lord does not say that one should give up his prescribed duties or engagements. One can continue them at the same time, think of Krishna by chanting Hare Krishna. This will free one from material contamination and engage the mind and intelligence in Krishna. By chanting Krishna's name, one will be transferred to the supreme planet, Krishna Loka, without a doubt. How we can engage our mind in Krishna service? Chanting the holy name of the Lord. This is very much a recommended process. So when we chant the holy name, Srila Prabhupada is saying that this is the best way of remembering Krishna. When you chant the name, then you remember Krishna. And when we chant sincerely, attentively, then throughout the day, we can maintain our consciousness. Whatever we will do, we will do with keeping Krishna in mind. And of course, anything when we do, we should ask one question, that how can I please Krishna? This one question, whatever we think, whatever we do, whatever we speak, if we practice this, because Krishna is going to recommend this, because without practice we cannot do that. So this is one practice we can do. How I can please Krishna? When we ask this question to the self, then whatever we do, we will do in a Krishna conscious mood. By our action, by our deeds, our thoughts, whatever duties we have. So Krishna, he is going to speak about how we can remember Krishna, verse number 8 onwards. So now in this chapter, he will speak about different kinds of remembrance. Remembering Krishna through Mishrit Bhakti or Mishrit Yoga, and remembering Krishna by pure Bhakti, pure devotion. So first he is speaking about, he is saying, Abhyasa Yoga Yuktena Chetasa Nanya Gamina Paramam Purusham Divyam Yati Partha Anuchintayan. He who meditates on me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his mind constantly engaged in remembering me, undeviated from the path, O path, is sure to reach me. So this is the final destination of remembering Krishna. One who remembers Krishna. So remembering Krishna, how remembering? Remembering Krishna as Supreme Personality of Godhead. And mind constantly engaged in remembering him, undeviated from the path. So undeviated from the path, like we know, so many paths, different objective. So whichever path we are following, we must know that what is the ultimate goal of that path. And following the process will help us to reach that goal. Right? So here onwards, Krishna is speaking about Sata Chakra Yoga. Like in chapter 6, we studied about Ashtanga Yoga process. So this is another process he is speaking about, how we can remember Krishna at the time of death, or we can achieve perfection by remembering Krishna. Kavim Puranam Anushasitaram Ano Hadiyam Anusmarat Ye Sarvasya Dhataram Achintya Rupam Aditya Varnam Tamasa Parastha. So these are the different qualities. One should meditate upon the Supreme Person as the one who knows everything. So we know Krishna is all-knowing. Krishna knows about past, Krishna knows about present, Krishna knows about future. So we should remember Krishna this way, that Krishna is the knower of everything. As he is the oldest, Puranam means he is the oldest, he is the Adi Purush, the first person. Even Lord Brahma, in his prayer, he is singing this. Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Krishna is the first person, and rest every living entity, all different things manifesting from Krishna. Who is the controller? So Krishna is the supreme controller, Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. So he is the controller of the universe, all the universe and the demigods. Who is smaller than the smallest? Ado Ariyam. God, we cannot limit. If we say that God can do this and God cannot do that, God can be this, God cannot be that, it means we have limited the power of God. Then he cannot be God. God means one who is the smallest, smaller than the smallest, and the bigger than the biggest. He is God, right? Who is the maintainer of everything? So Krishna is the maintainer. Who is beyond all material conception? In any situation, Krishna is not material. Even when he comes to this material world, he is not material. He is a spiritual. So who is inconceivable? These are the qualities of God. Inconceivable. With our limited intelligence, if we try to understand Krishna, that is never ever possible. Even personality like Lord Brahma, he gets bewildered seeing Krishna's pastimes. So what about us? We cannot conceive. If we can conceive, if we can understand everything about Krishna, then we are equal to Krishna. We are small, insignificant part and parcel of Krishna. Only by the mercy of Krishna we can understand Krishna. With our own intelligence, it is impossible. And that's why devotees, they have faith in scripture. Whatever Krishna is speaking, they have faith in it. Because through any experiment, we won't be able to understand Krishna. That is never ever possible. Never ever possible. No. He is luminous like the sun, and he is transcendental beyond this material nature. So these are the qualities, and one should remember Krishna like this. Prayanakale manasachalena, prayanakale manasachalena, bhaktya yukto yogabalena chaiva, ruvol madhye pranam aveshya samya, sa tam param purusham upeti divyam. So this is the process now he is explaining. Like we know Ashtanga yoga process, similarly this Satta Chakra yoga process is speaking about one who at the time of death, remember this, fixes his life air between the eyebrows. At the time of death, fixes the life air, pranavayu, between the eyebrows, and by the strength of yoga, with an undeviating mind, engages himself in remembering the Supreme Lord in full devotion, will certainly attain to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Is it easy process? Do you think at the time of death we can fix our pranavayu in the middle of our eyebrows and without any deviation we can remember Krishna? It's very tough. Yogis, they do this. Because yogi, they practice. This is not for ordinary people. We all engage in so many other activities. We don't know when death is going to come. But yogis, because they can control this, they know they can live this life, this body as per their desire, and they can decide what to do at the time of death. Like we see the example of Pitama Bhishma. He got the benediction that he will die as per his will. So even after the Kurukshetra battle, he was there in the battlefield lying down on the bed of arrows. Such a painful condition. But still, he was waiting for the right time. In this chapter, we will learn about, Krishna is speaking about what is the best time to live this body. Uttarayan, Dakshinayan, he will speak about it. So what is the best time? And what is the best time for devotees? He will speak about. So here we see Pitama Bhishma. He was in such a painful situation. He's a devotee. First of all, we have to understand he's not just a yogi, he's a devotee of the Lord. And for the pleasure of the Lord, he did so much. So he could have left this body. He was in so much pain, but he was waiting for the right time. And what was that right time for him? He was waiting for Krishna to appear in front of him. And Krishna, because he is as super soul, he is residing in everyone's heart. And after the battle, he remembered Bhishma. And when he was leaving Hastinapur, no, that the situation was Yudhishthira Maharaj was not happy with this battle. He was very unhappy. He thought it is just because of me, because I wanted this kingdom, and because of that this war happened, and all these different people, all these soldiers, they were killed. So many people became, uh, uh, means orphan, and so many the women, they become widows. It was all because of my desire. But we know Yudhishthira Maharaj never wanted this kingdom. He was happy with 5 villages, right? But a devotee thinks like, no, because he does not have any material desire. So when, just to give him some 2 reasons. One, to give some, you can say like, just to pacify Yudhishthira Maharaj, because Krishna knows that nobody can satisfy him, nobody can pacify him. So he decided to take Yudhishthira Maharaj to Bhishmadev, with all the Pandavas, and also to give this blessing, or to show his mercy upon Bhishmadev. He went to the battlefield, and there he just asked Pitama Bhishma to explain about dharma to Yudhishthira Maharaj. To whom? Yudhishthira Maharaj. Yudhishthira Maharaj is Dharmaraj. He knows about religion, but he is asking Pitama Bhishma to explain about dharma. And then, if you read that canto, this is 9th chapter, 1st canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Pitama Bhishma is speaking about Krishna. He is speaking about religion. He is just giving this information to Yudhishthira Maharaj. The person who is with you, you don't know who is he. He is Narayan. Krishna, he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is always with you. So much he is glorifying. He is remembering all the beautiful pastimes of Krishna, his childhood pastimes, his glories, how merciful he is, how Bhakta Vatsal he is. So he is remembering, and at the time of death, he is remembering Krishna and seeing Krishna face to face. So that is the glorious death. Remembering Krishna, seeing Krishna at the time of death. Right? So this process is possible. Prabhupada is mentioning this particular process, Ashtanga Yoga, Sapta Chakra Yoga. All these are very difficult processes. Everybody cannot do that. At the time of death or in old age, we are not able to maintain our body. So much problem. How we can control our mind? How we can remember Krishna? Yadaksharam Veda Vido Vadanti Vishanti Yatyayo Vitaraga Yadichantu Brahmacharya Charanti Tate Padam Sangrahena Prabhakshe. The further process. Persons who are learned in the Vedas, so these are the qualifications for Sapchakra Yoga. Sapchakra Yoga. He must be very learned in Vedas, who utter Omkara and who are great sages in the renounced order enter into Brahman. So the final destination of yogis, they enter into Brahman. Desiring such perfection, one practices celibacy. So brahmacharya, practice of brahmacharya is very much required for this. I shall now briefly explain to you this process by which one may attain salvation. So he is explaining this process. The yogic situation is that of detachment from all sensual engagements. Similar like Ashtanga Yoga process, no material desire. Closing all the doors of the senses and fixing the mind on the heart and the life air at the top of the head, one establishes himself in yoga. After being situated in this yoga practice and vibrating the sacred syllable Om, the supreme combination of letters, if one thinks of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and quits his body, he will certainly reach the spiritual planets. So this is the process of remembering Krishna at the time of death. So this is one process. And just like Ashtanga Yoga process, Arjuna rejected. So this process is also very difficult process. So 14th onwards, now after speaking about Satya Chakra Yoga process, Krishna is going to speak about Bhakti Yoga process. Everywhere you will see. Because this process is easier than any other process. All these are recommended process. There is no flaw at all. But based on time, place and circumstances, which process is recommended by Krishna, which process we can follow easily and remember Krishna, that is what we are learning from Bhagavad Gita. Ananyacheta satatam yo mam smarati nityasha tasyaham sulapata nityayuktasya yogina. For one who always remembers me without deviation, I am easy to obtain, O son of Partha, because of his constant engagement in devotional service. Constant engagement in devotional service. So, devotees, what do we see? They are always engaged in devotional service. And this way, very easily, they always remember Krishna. How do we perform devotional service? Like the bhajan we were singing, the last verse. How do we perform devotional service? Shravanam, Kirtanam. These two are very important aspects. Shravanam, Kirtanam. Third one automatically will take place. Shravanam means hearing about Krishna. So we are hearing. And seventh, this is very important. That's why Krishna is saying Tat Shrinu. In 7th chapter, 1st verse, he said Tat Shrinu. This is the beginning of our spiritual life. And the first process of our devotional service. Hearing about Krishna is a devotional service. And whatever we hear about Krishna is speaking about him. Chanting, that is called. The chanting is one process. Chanting means we are doing two things. We are hearing the holy name and chanting. So when we do Shravanam and Kirtanam, the third step will automatically take place. That is remembrance. Whatever you speak in our day-to-day life, whatever we are reading, hearing, seeing, hearing does not mean only hearing through ears. Whatever we are seeing through media, movies, right? Whatever we read, whatever we hear, so the same content will be there in mind, and whatever is there in mind, that will come as words. Whatever we think, that we speak. So whatever we speak and think, that kind of remembrance will be there. Is it okay? Very clear, no? Very simple. So remembrance will be there. Vishnu Smaranam. Smaranam, that is. And when we, especially other processes or other steps, if you see, especially when we hear about Krishna, when you know about his glories, then further steps are there. Pada Sevanam, serving Krishna. Like Mother Lakshmi, she is serving Krishna always. And Archanam, Vandanam, what else is there? Atma Nivedanam, Saksham, all these are different. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Dasyam, Hanumanji is the example for this. Saksham, friendly, friendship with Krishna, like Arjuna is their friend. Atma Nivedanam. So these are all different processes. We can engage ourselves in Krishna's service. If you see our schedule in Krishna consciousness, what Srila Prabhupada has given us, throughout the day we can remain Krishna conscious. Our processes start with early morning when we wake up, after taking bath, cleaning our body. What we do, the first thing what we do Mangal Aarti, is starting our day with some offering to the Lord. And this is very important. When you learn, anything and everything has a scientific reason behind it. Even if you learn how to do this offering, or why we do Aarti, what are the different paraphernalia we are offering and what is the significance behind it. People do not know, and that's why they criticize. You know the reason why offering incense, why offering lamb, why offering water, all these have significance. When we do deity worship training, we get detail about it. It's not just emotionally everything we are doing. Everything has a scientific reason behind it. So first, when we start our day, we start our day with offering arti to the Lord, worshipping to the Lord. So when we offer arti, we offer all the pancha tattva. What are those pancha tattva? Earth, fire, water, ether, air. All these are different kinds of paraphernalia we are offering because we know that Krishna is the source, Krishna is the master of all these elements. So by offering our arti, we offer ours, like manasa, vacha, karmana, offering all these elements with this mood that Krishna, you are the master, everything belongs to you. Even myself, I am your part and parcel. So we start our day with offering everything to Krishna. And the first prayer we do even before even taking bath, when we wake up, early in the morning, in bed only, when you wake up, the first thing, we offer our prayer to Krishna. There's a different mantra, especially when it comes to Krishna worship. All these are different prayers. Means now you have given me this opportunity today. I got this, you have given me life this day. So throughout the day, just give me some mercy so that I can remember you and I can serve as per your instruction, for your pleasure, for your desire. We start our day with this consciousness. Pratah prabodhito Vishnu, Rishikeshena yatvaya, yad yad karasi sisana, tat karomi tapajaya. So these are different kinds of prayer, but ultimately the purpose is offering ourselves. So beautifully we start our day with singing the glories, Mangalarati means singing the glories of Krishna, having darshan of Krishna, chanting the holy name of Krishna, and hearing about Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam we hear 8 to 9, very fixed routine. So in all these activities you are remembering Krishna. And when you go to your office, you go for your business, with this remembrance that, okay, now I'm going to work for Krishna's pleasure. And the way Krishna has instructed me, guided me in Bhagavad Gita, that is what the mindset and approach I have to take in my work. Don't have to cheat people. Don't have to become selfish. Whatever I'm doing is doing for the pleasure of Krishna. Without distress, without anxiety, I'm doing my best. And when devotees come back from their office, from their job, again, in the evening, they come back and just taking shower and again doing a small worship, chanting the holy name, and reading Bhagavad Gita, having dinner prasadam together with family. This is what Prabhupada has given us. Sandwich program. We call it sandwich program. Beginning and end spiritual practices. And in between, do your job. Mahamanusmara, you do job. Remember me and do your business, do your job. So if this way, throughout the day, when we are doing our duties, so through our duties only we can remember Krishna. But if we are not doing all these spiritual practices and we think that we can remember Krishna without, no. Sometimes people, that Karmani Puja, means they are doing their duty, that is fine, and they say that even doing that duty only is worship. It's not like that. You cannot maintain Krishna consciousness simply by doing your duty only. For whom you are doing, you have to remember that. And in the beginning, at the end, you have to remember. You have to be grateful for everything what you have received. All these are, so Prabhupada has given this system so that we can always, in every activity, we can remember Krishna. Any activity you see, even offering food, we are not just taking like this, just cooking and taking. It's not like that. Prabhupada has made this system, okay? And all these systems, that is given by scripture. It's not some mental concoction that Prabhupada has made. This is coming through scripture. This is what Bhagavad Gita is speaking about. So offering food to Krishna, chanting his holy name, being in association with devotees, participating in all these different kinds of festivals. Why festivals are there? What is the reason? Why we are celebrating festival? You know, why? Ultimate purpose is what?
Bring joy into our life.
That is byproduct. When we are in association with Krishna, when we are connected with our source, automatically joy, bliss will be there. But remember, this is what we are learning. We have to remember Krishna always. And that is what we are practicing through these different the spiritual processes. Devotion. That's why devotional means bhakti yoga is the simplest process, because you don't have to go to a secluded place and do some additional practice. Whatever you are doing, you have to do the same thing. Simply, you have to dedicate it to Krishna. Celebrate your life. So, the different festivals we are celebrating. And in all festivals, you will see the same activities going on: chanting, reading, hearing, devotees association. When we come together, we get energized. And this is very, very important aspect. I will tell you, the moment you go away from devotees, very soon you will forget about Krishna. Very soon you will be into all different kinds of activities. And that's why the first recommended process is always being in association with devotees, wherein we can discuss about Krishna Katha, about Krishna's message. That is very, very important. So, today we will stop here. So, on this next session onwards, we will see how Krishna speak about, very, very important shlokas we are going to learn here onwards again. So he will speak about how performing bhakti yoga we can very easily remember Krishna. Sulabha, he is saying Sulabha. Very easily we can remember Krishna, and very easily we can attain the supreme destination. And also he will speak about this material world, the nature of this material world. Yes, Mamupetya. And how we can transmigrate this material world. And whoever is there in this material means different nature about this material world he will speak about. Spiritual world and material world. So this knowledge will help us to decide our final destination. Because if we don't know, many people they think that okay, going to heavenly planet is the final goal of life, Swarga Loka. But that is not the final goal. That is not the final or the topmost destination. Om Bhur Bhuva Swa. Om, when we this Gayatri mantra, Bhu Bhuva Swa. This third stage is Swarga Loka. And above the Swarga Loka, there are many other planets. Janalok, Tablok, Maharlok, Satlok. And all these are material planets. This is what we are going to discuss next. About the universal planet, about Lord Brahma's lifespan, and what are the different layers in this universe. How we go from one planet to another planet. How we are traveling from one planet to another planet. So how we can go beyond this material planet or material universe to the spiritual kingdom, wherefrom we will never come back to this material world. And what is the nature of this material world? All these things we are going to discuss in next class. So thank you so much. I hope a little bit here and there, but you got few points out of this class. Any question you have? Anything regarding this today?
Prabhuji, like if you're not keeping well towards your end time,
Yes.
then it's okay. Like then to remember Krishna. But if suddenly something happens, like that submarine thing or whatever, so then how does?
Very nice question. Maybe throughout the life we are practicing Krishna consciousness, we are remembering. But maybe at the time of death, our bodily situation is not like that. Maybe due to some disease, some problem, somebody is in coma. This question may arise, right?
Maybe
What will happen? Accidental
Yeah.
cases. What will happen of that person? So Krishna said nothing to worry about.
You have to surrender.
Huh?
Shuru says you have
Yes.
to surrender to the Lord. Then
Yes.
you take care.
Rajendra Prabhu, please.
If a person has led a sinful life
Yes.
and done everything that are proscribed, prohibited, but at the time of death, by accident, let's say he remembers him, what is his name?
At the time of death, he is remembering Krishna.
Yeah.
And he has done sinful life. Very nice. These two questions we will answer. So number one, at the time of death, even if we do not remember Krishna, due to any reason, and Krishna said that I will remember him. Because throughout the life he has done. He has done. practices. He is dedicated. So, due to any reason, if he is not able to remember at the time of death, Krishna will remember him. Like even in the case of Pitama Bhishma, also we see Krishna personally went there, right? Though the case is very different, but here Krishna will remember, number one. Your question, like somebody engaged in sinful activity, and at the time of death, maybe due to some reason remembered Krishna, what will happen to that person? As per this criteria, he will again reach to, he will be liberated. Maybe different destinations are there. And beautiful example of this incident is Ajamil. Ajamil, throughout his life, he was engaged in so many sinful activities, right? This example is also very much relevant to this particular topic. He was a Brahmin boy, very cultured, following all the rules and regulations, very much knowledgeable in Vedas. But somehow he got into bad association, and because of that he got engaged in so many sinful activities, all sorts of sinful activities. And at the time of death, he didn't remember Krishna. He was remembering his youngest son, Narayan. He called out his name, out of anxiety and stress, because he could see Yamdutas in front of him. And because of that, he called out his name, his son's name, Narayan. And just by chanting this name, he was saved. He didn't go back to Godhead immediately. He was saved. He was given another chance. No? He was protected by the Yamdutas. So this is the power of devotion. So your question, anybody remembering Krishna at the time of death, first of all, it is not by chance. Maybe in this lifetime, we may see the person engaged in so many sinful activities. Because our spiritual journey is not only of this lifetime, that is coming from previous many lifetimes. Right? So the law of karma is working. So all these things, even we cannot say that simply by chanting Narayan one time, though this glory is there. But Ajamila past life, it was been glorious also. So due to our past sins or past glorious or pious activities, we get result. But ultimately, anybody at the time of death remembering Krishna, for whatever reason, he will get the destination. That is Krishna promising. What to talk about devotees? Kamsa, Ravana, Shishupal, all these, they got liberated. Why? Because they remembered Krishna more than a devotee. Shishupal, what is mentioned in scripture, even he was not able to speak, and from the very moment he started abusing Krishna. Even if you want to become a demon-like, if you want this process, this way to achieve liberation, we have to become like Shishupal. Every moment he was abusing Krishna, criticizing Krishna from the very beginning of his life. And when Krishna delivered him, we know the story how he was killed. And finally, Yudhishthira Maharaj was surprised to see that, this kind of personality, Shishupal, from the very childhood, he was simply abusing Krishna. And how he got delivered? The soul entered into Krishna, lotus feet. Similarly, many other demons, Putana, she got delivered. Not only delivered, that's why Kunti Maharaj is very much surprised to know this, how much merciful he is. Even Putana, she came to kill Krishna, and he delivered her. Not only delivered, she got a place in Golok Dham, and she got the position of mother, like Yashoda Maya. So anybody remembering Krishna, anyhow remembering Krishna, will liberate him. But of course, there are different kinds of liberation. All these demoniac people, their liberation is called Sayujya Mukti. There are different kinds of liberation. Sayukta, Shashti, and Samipya, Sarupya. These are different kinds of liberation. And ultimately, if you talk about devotees, we will learn in this chapter. Devotees are not at all concerned with any kind of liberation. They are not interested in liberation. Devotees, pure devotees, their only business is to serve Krishna in all situations, in all circumstances. Either they are in Golok Dham or they are in this material world, either hell or heaven. Their only business is to remember Krishna, to serve Krishna. That's it. And that's why devotees are peaceful. Mukti, Bhukti, Kami, Sakale, Ashant. All these different Jnani, all these are Ashant. Why? Because they have some desire. They have some material desires, some personal motivation behind that. But devotees, Krishna Bhakta, Nishkam, Ataiv, Shant. Krishna's devotees, they are not at all bothered about. You will see all wonderful devotees, they never bothered about themselves. Prahlad Maharaj, Dhruva Maharaj, all these exalted devotees, no? They never thought about themselves. Always concerned about others, always concerned about Krishna. So that is the power of devotion.
Prabhuji, what exactly do you mean by liberation or moksha?
Liberation means, one liberation is, mukti is, I don't want another birth. Freedom from birth, death, old age, disease. Freedom from suffering. This is one kind of liberation. Like people going into Brahma Jyoti, Jnani, they want liberation. Why? They want to merge into Brahma Jyoti. They want to finish their identity. They want to merge into Brahma Jyoti. Why? Because they know that unless and as long as I have this body, I'm suffering in this material world. So let's finish this body.
So you're
I
not
don't
going
want
to
this
any
body.
planet, but
They are in Brahma Jyoti. Brahma Jyoti is the bodily effulgence of Krishna. That is light. So all these details we are going to discuss in next section. What is the destination of such people going to the Brahma Jyoti? How long they stay, and how they come back to this material world again. Yes. And Prabhupada gives a very simple example to understand it. We will discuss in next class. So the point, this is what we are going to discuss. Right? So this is the power of bhakti we are learning. Very easy process and very sublime, and very happily we can achieve the ultimate perfection of life. And fortunately, we all are on this process. So bhakti is everywhere. We will learn this also. Karma Mishrit Bhakti, Jnana Mishrit Bhakti, Sat Chakra Mishrit. These are Yoga Mishrit Bhakti. Bhakti is everywhere. But one is pure devotion and one is mixed devotion. Mixed with something else. Right? So all these yoga process, bhakti is everywhere. Without reaching to this end result, bhakti, all those processes, individually, independently, there is no meaning. Yes. Fine. Thank you so much. Yes. Any other question? Done? These are a little bit philosophical subject matter, but I hope we have been hearing for long. Easy to understand, right? Okay. Thank you so much. So next section we will conclude chapter 8. So within 1 or 2 sessions we are trying that every chapter we should go on. We should complete this. And these are all very important questions on chapters. Try read purports and all these shlokas at home in detail. Shall we start asking? The incident which I was discussing about Ajamila, because when somebody is chanting the name, all previous sins are eradicated immediately. That's what happened in his case. All previous sins. Vishnu Dutta is speaking about this. That because of chanting this name unknowingly, everything, all, not only of this life, previous life sins was eradicated. So imagine the power of devotion. Unknowingly. And we all deliberately trying to practice this. So understand the benefit of such things. Right?
I don't agree.
even I'm not. I mean, somebody who's been doing it earnestly gets another result, and somebody who just does it just.
That's what I said. It's not only one lifetime. Remember?
Putna was Bali's daughter and a great devotee. When Vaman Avatar came, she had
There
that
are
feeling
history
that I want
behind
to
that.
mother you.
And again,
Everything has a backstory and multiple.
and again, this is also important. How we are doing, what we are doing, how we are doing, that is also important. We may be practicing, right? Even one name can deliver, but how we are chanting that name? Do we have that cry for Krishna? Do we have that mood? One name can deliver, right? We see so many examples. Draupadi, she was calling out for protection. Krishna did come immediately, right? So that intention, that mood is also required. And so far as faith is concerned, because of course, immediately that faith will not be there. Because in this material world, we have seen people cheating us. Right? People cheating us. We don't have faith on anyone. But here we are speaking about God. He's speaking about His words. And for His promise, whatever promise He did, even he broke all the rules. You see, He protected Arjuna by breaking all the rules and regulations. Right? Even He Himself broke His own made rule. And that's why He asked Arjuna that just declare it. Oh Arjuna, just declare it that my devotee will never perish. Why? Why He asked Arjuna to do this? Because He said, I can break my rule. Because He had promised, I will not take any weapon in this battlefield. But He did that. Just to protect His devotees. Because He is Bhakt Vatsal. He can break His rule to protect His devotees. And that's why He asked Arjuna, declare it. My devotee will never perish. Why? Because if you declare it, then I am Bhakta Vatsal, Aham Bhakta Paradino. If you say this, then I can never deviate from this principle. Understand? This is Krishna's promise. Yes. So if He said, anybody remembering me at the time of death will be delivered, that is for sure. That is for sure. No one else can protect us.
But then I think
We will discuss in person. Let's conclude this.
a person who dies with a sinful past gets delivered. But obviously there has to be the weight of his previous lifetime's good deeds to help him through it. It can't be that he has been spending lifetimes of
You are in
sinfulness.
law, so you can understand somebody is given a death sentence due to his sinful action. Somebody is having power to pardon. Who is that?
Obviously.
Why? Everything is very much clear. Judgment has been done.
But even that power has to be exercised on
No, I'm just giving this is a crude example to understand.
constitutional principles.
No, this is a crude example to understand. We are not going into word to word. This is a crude example that somebody may be a sinner, but accepted the sin and taking shelter. It's not that cheating. It's really taking shelter. My Lord, I have knowingly, unknowingly, I have committed sin. Kindly excuse me. Simple example: if your son committed sin, he betrayed you, he cheated you, but finally he accepted it and coming to you, taking your shelter. My Father, I will not do it again. Please accept me. Will you reject him?
Obviously not.
You will forgive him and accept him. The same thing Krishna is doing. Simple, right? So Krishna is God. He can do anything and everything. So he is anybody who is taking shelter of Krishna. That's what he is saying. Who will remember Krishna? Who is taking shelter of Krishna?
Why don't we forgive the Kauravas?
Huh?
Why don't we forgive the Kauravas?
We will discuss about it. All these things, if you understand the reason behind it, He's forgiven so many times. He personally, being a God, he went to Kauravas as messenger. What he did not, he did everything. But sometimes, no, because Krishna is not like any other person. His chastisement, his punishment is also his mercy. Until we see Krishna as God, we won't be able to. That's why I said, with our mental speculation, with our intelligence, understanding the activities of God is very, very impossible. I'll not say difficult. It's impossible. We can never understand. These are inconceivable pastimes. But when you have this devotion, when you understand Krishna is God, then you can very easily understand. Krishna gave so many chances. Krishna is killing. We see he is killing Putana, he is killing Shishupal, he is killing Kamsa, Ravana, but his killing is delivering all these people. He is not killing out of envy. He is killing for their deliverance. That is Krishna. Right? Thank you. Namaste Narasimhaya.
Namaste Narasimhaya.
Prahlada Ladadayine.
Prahlada Ladadayine.
Dhanyakashi Purvakshaha. Dhanyakashi Purvakshaha. Shilajanta Nathanaye.
Shilajanta Nathanaye.
Dona Singha Parito Singha.
Dona Singha Parito Singha.
Yato Yato Yami Dato Singha.
Yato Yato Yami Dato Singha.
Bahirna Singha Hridayena Singha.
Singha Hridayena Singha.
Narasimha Madhim Sharanam Prabhade.
Narasimha Madhim Sharanam Prabhade.
Avakarpamavarena Adbhuta Shingam Davita Niranyakashipu Tanuvindra Keshavadita Harirupa Jajagadish Hare Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish Hare Avakar Kamalavayena Adbhuta Shingam Davita Hiranyakashipu Tanuvindra Keshavadita Harirupa Jagadish Hare Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish Hare Jaya Narasimhadev 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 Jaya Narasimhadev Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Prahlad Maharaj Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jai Jai Prabhupada 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 Jai Jai Prabhupada Jai Jai Gurudev